Hello everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Christiaan's Rhythm Workout, the show in which I teach you song by song how to play the right chords or the chords that I like, maybe some chords that you've never thought of, and there's a chance for you to practice yourself with a backing track with only bass. But I'll talk about that more after this intro. The first episode we were looking at All of Me. The second episode it was Coquette. A song in C, a song in D. So this week a song in B flat. And of course check out the earlier episodes. There's a link to the playlist with all episodes so far in the description. And I've chosen this song because it is a common jam tune, more for advanced players, but you probably encounter this one often. So I'll go through the chords one by one, show you the way I play it, and then you can download the PDF with all the chord diagrams that you see in the screen from my Patreon at the lowest level, at the $5 tier. And if you join at the $10 tier, you actually get access to the backing track I'm playing with in this video, which is a backing track only with bass playing in 2. So that is very good to practice your timing to become a very solid rhythm player, because the bass is playing in 2 and you are playing in 4 as a rhythm player. Now the bass is coming from this really small speaker and the microphone is way up here, so the bass might not be very audible, but I promise you if you practice yourself with the backing track, the bass will be very loud. So let's start with the first chord. First chord is B flat 6, which I play like this. Standard voicing 6, 8, 8, 7, 8 and 8. But as always, I'm only playing the lowest 4 strings, or I'm only focusing on those lowest 4 strings. That's the way I play rhythm, and if you want to know more about the techniques I use, I made 2 videos about it that I think you should watch if you are a newcomer to rhythm, and there's links to those videos both in the description and in the first comment. So B flat 6, we go to B flat minor 6, which I play like this, which looks very much like E flat 7. The only difference is I'm not playing the E flat on the A string. Normally if I play E flat 7, I play 2 notes on my second finger. Now I'm muting that note. And I'm muting that with the fleshy part of my second finger. If you have trouble muting notes, that's just something you gotta figure out by maybe turning your hand, finding the right angle to put your finger there. That's not something that is universal, because every hand is different. So you just have to find the way to put your fingers there so that you can mute strings. And again, I'm only focusing on the lowest 4 strings, including the muted string. Right? There is another way to play B flat minor 6, but I'm actually using that way in the second half. So B flat 6, B flat minor 6, to F6 9, or just F6, 8 8 7 7 8 8, but again only focusing on the lowest 4 strings. And then you can play what most people do nowadays. They play 1 bar F6, 1 bar E7. So it looks the same, but it is not, because now I have 3 strings under my third finger. And back to F6. I think on the original recording that's not happening. They're just playing 4 bars F6. But nowadays everybody plays F6, E7. That is actually something you could always do once you have 4 bars of a 1 chord, like Sweet Georgia Brown has that, for example. Then you can always shift a half step back to a dominant chord and then back up. So let's play those first 8 bars. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the intro you saw me play this, B flat minor 6. I was shifting with E7 in between to F6. You can also do that, so you play 1.5 bar of B flat minor 6, E7, F. That's also a very nice way to move from B flat minor 6 to F6. The next 8 bars can be quite challenging to solo over if you're not used to playing lines on one dominant chord after another. But for rhythm it's pretty simple, because it's all 7 chords, and we could play all those chords with the same grip, of course, by jumping around. But that's not what I usually do. I usually do it in 2 ways. What I wrote down now is the way I mostly do it, but I will show you the other way as well. So it's 4 bars D7. Again with the 2 strings under my second finger. If you can't do that for some reason, if this note is always muted, the A string. Again, it's just a matter of finding the right angle for your finger. Maybe you have to put it a little bit rounder, maybe you have to put it a little bit flatter. You just have to work on it, and maybe you can do it today, but if you work on it every day, I promise you, one day you wake up and all of a sudden you can do that. So 4 bars D7, then I jump to G7, and then I play C7 right here with one of my favorite voicings for dominant chords. This voicing with the 2/3, which I talked about in the previous episodes. C7 to F7. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's also possible, and that's what I did in the intro, you play D7 here. And you go to this voicing for G7, which is on the middle strings, 2, 3, 2, 3. Now this is a voicing I like actually only for G7, A flat 7 and A7. Any higher than that and I think the chord sounds too high. So whenever I have G7, that is a very nice possibility because it's really low on the neck and I like that for this chord. So you play G7 here, then you go to this C7, and then you jump to F7. So that would be like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play that first half with the backing track. And I'll do it 2 times, once with the way it's written down and once with the alternate chord with the G7 here. The other way. And then we're at the second half. So in the second half, the first chord B flat 6, I kept it the same. But then for B flat minor 6, what I did is I gave you this voicing, which is exactly the same as B flat 6. I only shift my first finger back. Now, some people have a lot of trouble playing this chord because it's very wide grip. So you can also just finger it like this, right? With the thumb, second, third, first and fourth finger. I'm just used to playing it like this. So that's the reason I like it like this. And then we go to F6, I kept it the same, E7, F6, that's the same. And then the last 8 bars. There are several ways of playing those last 8 bars and this is my preferred way. So I go to A, half diminished. If you have trouble playing the chord like this, so this would be 5, mute, 5, 5, 4, right? That first finger can be the problem. You could just play those lowest 3 notes. That's fine. To D7, flat 9. I rarely play this voicing because I usually just prefer playing a regular D7. It doesn't really matter anyway because I'm not usually hitting that B string. Because that's the difference, right? This is normal D7 with a 9 and this is D7 flat 9. But if there's A half diminished before it, which also has this E flat in it, then I like to play D7 flat 9 to keep that note. But then again, you will never hear that note probably because you'll hear this. Right, it's the lowest 4 strings. A7, D minor 7. Now this is a good example of a D minor which doesn't go to a dominant chord right after, it doesn't go to G7. If it would go to G7, if it would be part of a 2-5, I like to play the D minor 7 like this, with a 9 here. But if it doesn't, if it just goes to D minor 7 without being part of a 2-5, I like to play with my pinky on the 3rd here. Notice there is no D in it, it's only a low A in it. I like that sound better than actually playing a D. So those 4 bars. And now there's 2 possibilities. The way I wrote down here is the way that Django plays it. So he they play B flat 6, B6, C6, C7, F. And if you notice, that is the same 2-5 I was teaching you last week in Coquette as a typical Django way of playing a 2-5-1, because you could also just play a 2-5-1 in F. So you would be playing G minor 7, 3 mute 3 3 3, C7 to F. That's also possible. So either you play this, or you play. Now what I like to do when I go to the normal 2-5, from D minor I like to play D minor 7, and then I like to play A flat diminished to G minor. So then the last 8 bars would be played like this: A half diminished, D7 flat 9, A7, D minor, A flat diminished with your pinky here, G minor, C7, F, F7. Now the backing track, actually the bass, I programmed the bass in such a way that the first chorus he's gonna play B flat, B, C, but the second chorus he's gonna play a 2-5-1 to F, G minor, C7, F. So let me play 2 complete choruses for you, and then the first chorus I'm gonna play B flat, B, C, and the second chorus I'm just gonna play that G minor 7, C7, F7 with the A flat diminished right before the G minor 7. Also, I will be moving the chords around a little bit, like embellishing it. If you wonder about that, I talk about that in those 2 tutorial videos that I linked in the comments. So let's do it. There you go, some really cool ways to play those chords. And of course, the most important part about the rhythm is your steadiness and the sound you produce. So for the sound, you have my tutorials, and to practice your steadiness, you could join my Patreon at the $10 level, and you'll get access to this backing track. You get access to all 3 backing tracks actually, and at the $5 level, you can download this PDF. I hope you start working on your rhythm like this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.